All right, guys, let's get right to this recipe. I'm really excited to share this one with you. This is a very simple, creamy mushroom homemade recipe that I made with my daughters just the other night. And all I'm doing here is just slicing up some baby bellas, which are basically cremini mushrooms. And you can use any other kind of mushroom. You can do a combination as well. Portobello, button mushroom, shiitake. Like I said, the baby bellas, shiitakes. I mean, you can go truffles if you have all kinds of money. But this here is a low budget homemade recipe. And all I'm doing here is slicing up some yellow onion. You don't have to be particular on how they're prepared here. And we're actually doing one whole onion. Yes. And I'm just setting these off to the side for our next bit of raw preparation. And that is 3 cloves of garlic, and just gonna remove, of course, the outer skin here, using a knife to just so gently smash the garlic for an easy removal. And honestly, we can just throw these in to the Dutch oven, but for some reason I just like to slice them up. So this here too, we're gonna set off to the side and move right straight to the burner with our Dutch oven. I want to say this is a 7-quart. Doesn't need to be that big for the amount of soup we are cooking here. And as you see, that's about 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons worth of unsalted butter. Once that melts away, add in first our onions, and we want those to sweat and basically saute. Because my family is hungry, we're not gonna caramelize these, and the caramelization will definitely give a much more deep flavor, but this is fine and it'll definitely still be delicious. London just added the garlic, and again, allowing those to marry, the garlic and the onions, and that's sizzling away. Right about now, for sure, your kitchen should smell very delicious, actually. So, beware. Now we go in with our lovely mushrooms and get those to do a light saute. And again, as with the onions, to deepen the flavor, you want to do maybe 30 to 40 minutes of slow and low cook. Here is some dry thyme that I've added. That's about 1 tablespoon's worth. I didn't have any fresh thyme on hand, so I made do with what I had in my pantry. And as you see there, it's looking quite good. Now we've come to this stage in the cooking process. We've added 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour to thicken it up. Now we're adding in 1 cup's worth of water, and then I combine 2 types of stock, and that is 1 cup beef stock and 2 cups of vegetable stock. That's just what I had on hand. I had to use what was left of the beef stock, so I just combined the 2. Nothing special there. And with our wooden spoon, we want to give that a few turns. At this point, we want to bring our soup up to a boil, so we cranked up the flame to a medium high. There's Savannah with her new pet dinosaur. While we're waiting for that to boil up, as you see on the top of our screen, we have a skillet, a saute pan. This is about maybe a cup's worth, or just a little bit more than that, of raw mushrooms that we set aside beforehand. We melt some butter, added in the mushrooms, and then put a little oil there. That's going to saute pretty good, get some caramelization. And we want to make sure that we attend to this part frequently so we can get a good brown, good color on those mushrooms, both sides of them. And that's coming together quite nicely. I'm going to turn these over and you'll see that that's browning up real good. And we're going to get a spoon later and we're going to flip those one by one. And here we are with that. So this extra bit that we're doing here, I think, is well worth it, especially while your soup is continuing to cook and reduce a little bit. But it'll add more complexity to your very basic creamy mushroom soup. I've added a little bit of heavy cream here towards the end, and you don't want to add too much because it'll be too rich. But if you feel that at any point in time, especially after we blend this, it's too thick, I like mine thick, but if you think it's too thick, you could always add a little bit more stock, a little bit at a time, just so you get the right consistency. That's all preference, by the way. We want to give this a little taste at that point and see if that's where we want to be. And it's tasting good. So now we have an immersion blender. You can also use a food processor to blend that up, but someone's borrowing it right now. So we're using an immersion blender, adding a little bit of fresh grounded salt and pepper to taste. So right now we're at the point where we want to make our adjustments. Does it need a little bit of salt? Does it need a tad bit more black pepper? Is it too thick or thin? Does it need to be reduced, or do we need to add a little bit more stock? I almost forgot to mention that Worcestershire sauce, just a little bit, will go a long way. Would definitely elevate this. Tastes super delicious, guys. And that's quite common for chefs to add in, is the Worcestershire sauce. But we're going to go somewhat basic. We are dealing with my kids, by the way. They like it just the way I make it here. And that's the final nod of approval. And now we feed our family. And it was definitely fun making this video, making it with the kids. Don't forget adding for garnish some of those mushrooms. Delicious. And, maybe some fresh thyme. Or what I did here was fresh rosemary. So either one or both would do. Thank you for watching. We hope you try this recipe and make your own creamy mushroom soup. We will see you on the next one. Take care.